Hello and welcome to another edition of the NRS Insights podcast. I'm John Lovestock, and today we're joined by Brandon Thurber, who is the Director of Client Success at National Retail Solutions, or NRS, and independent convenience stores. It was a good month, it looks like, Brandon, are holding their own. The numbers back that up. For the month of May, the same store sales report, which covers about 34,000 independent retailers, which are convenience stores, bodegas, and liquor stores across the country. What they found paints a pretty encouraging picture heading into the busy summer months. Dollar sales were up 4% year over year. Units moved pretty good, and average prices climbed in some key categories that we've discussed over and over on this podcast. Also had some good months. Actually, energy drinks, one in particular, which I think we've seen up and down over the last year, but had a good month. Frozen novelties, one of my favorites, and nicotine patches also posted solid gains. I'm assuming that alcohol did as well because I was pretty depressed last month, so I drank a lot. But that's just me. Anyway, I don't want to steal your thunder. So let's, if we don't mind, let's just jump right into the data for the month of May. Brandon, anything jump out at you?
Yeah, so you shouldn't be that depressed. The Knicks won, and we should be all celebrating.
I was going to say, we didn't even mention that in our pre-call. How about those Knicks? Yeah, that was pretty surprising.
Yeah, they're still the Jets. We'll be able to go from there. But as far as categories and growth goes, NRS independent stores, they serve a need for the consumer that we continue to talk about. It's an on-the-go consumer that is going to their neighborhood store with intent to purchase. So that from a trips perspective, a little bit insulated from the rising fuel costs or the seasonality or things like that. As you mentioned, as May heated up a little bit, energy drinks, frozen novelty doing well. But the nicotine pouch category, to probably at this point, no surprise to anyone, is very much on a growth trajectory. And then prepared cocktails, RTD cocktails, both wine and spirits, really getting the consumer attention.
Great. There are a couple of things there that you mentioned. Obviously, the higher gas prices. We started to touch on this last month, but we saw really a solid 4 weeks of elevated gas prices, which always kind of eats into the consumer's discretionary spending. And C stores are almost immediately affected by that, as opposed to grocers. Despite all of that, it looks like our channel still did pretty well.
Yeah, the independent retailer serves a need to kind of a community-based purchaser, consumer, which makes a rather big impact. And it would take a lot, I think, for that for trips to fluctuate one way or another. We have consistently seen trips like flat or slightly up for as long as I can remember, because it is very much like a habit-based purchase.
Okay. Now, jumping back to what you had said before, that the nicotine pouches and just tobacco overall, I spent some time a few weeks ago with representatives from the big tobacco companies, and there is no question they weren't talking about cigarettes. They were talking about patches and, the Zins and the other pouch brands. And they brought up that planograms were changing, that as they look to deal with retailers, they're talking about how the back bar has a new look. Is that something you're seeing? And I mean, that's only going to help sales.
Yeah, I mean, we're tracking upwards of 40 or 50 brands in the category. It continues to evolve and blow up, but we're not necessarily at the moment seeing it at the expense of cigarettes. Don't get me wrong. I think that the modern nicotine consumer will potentially make a shift. We are seeing the first, if we track longitudinally a consumer behavior, we are seeing the most prevalent nicotine consumer coming from vape. And what's interesting about the modern oral category is that once that consumer makes a switch, it is a pretty brand loyal consumer at this point, which is something to keep in mind. And
I would imagine the same goes for, as we see sports drinks come back into the hot list, and energy drinks. Those are very brand loyal consumers.
Yeah, and it's interesting that CPGs are smart, right? They're marketing companies. They figure it out, and we're seeing new brands, evolving brands cater to a consumer blind spot or a consumer that they may not have in their portfolio today. Monster, for instance, right? It's no question that skews heavily kind of younger male, and they're launching a brand that's potentially more targeted at a kind of a health conscious female, and then that will help their portfolio.
Wow. So you just triggered a thought. Having 3 college students. There is a big trend. Obviously, we talk about the prepared alcoholic beverages, but people are making them on their own. Either you getting Arizona iced tea or making their own iced tea and adding a little bit of vodka and some ice. And so that is good and bad, right? Because they're still going to the store to buy the Arizona iced tea, but they may not be buying the prepackaged alcohol stuff. So something to keep an eye on. It. That big 99-cent can make about 4 drinks. What I hear.
That's interesting.
That way.
Right, from what you hear, we are definitely seeing explosion in the prepared cocktail, and I'm it's hard to put a finger on. Is it preference? Is it consistency? Is it flavor, variety? Like, what really drives that? Or is it purely just convenience? I don't have to, I prefer a spirits-based beverage rather than a malt-based or a beer. And I don't have to mix it as much. One of the things though that we are just recently seeing that I think will continue, where I think there's upside for the RTD space, is in our stores, tequila outpaces any other spirit category in terms of consumer purchases. However, on the RTD side, vodka outsells tequila probably 2 to 1, and much of that is, I think, brands haven't gotten as much into that space.
Okay. So, well, just put on your prognosticator hat. What do you think we're going to see over the next few months?
Yeah, as summer heats up, kind of middle of sports season, etc., we tend to see that is sort of road trip season, and the uptick in trips and candy sales and those things benefit from that. But will those incremental trips be as much of a thing, or is it more just kind of the habit convenience store consumer that is coming in for an energy drink or a nicotine pouch? So that's going to be kind of an opportunity for focus for sure.
Great. All right. So, Brandon, how can people get your report every month?
Yeah, you can go to our parent company's website, idt.net, and look for the same store sales report, or set your Google alerts to the NRS same store sales report.
Awesome. So, Brandon, I want to thank you for your time today. I look forward to talking to you. Yeah, toward the end of the month here. So, we have a very active June to discuss next month. So, for Brandon, I'm John Lovestock. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to having you at a future NRS podcast. Have a good afternoon, everyone.